Have you ever felt like something's missing in your life? Like you're just going through the motions day after day without really growing or changing? Well, what if I told you that the key to transforming your life and deepening your spiritual connection is right at your fingertips? It's true. The secret lies in the power of good habits. These simple daily practices may seem small, but they have the incredible ability to completely change your life and bring you closer to your true self. Now, you might be thinking, habits? Really? How can something so ordinary be that powerful? But here's the thing. Our lives are shaped by the little things we do every day, not just the big decisions we make once in a while. It's like planting a tiny seed. At first, you might not see any change. But with consistent care and attention, that seed grows into a mighty tree. That's exactly how good habits work in our spiritual lives. Let's think about it for a moment. If we don't build good habits, what happens? Our spiritual growth might get stuck. We might feel like we're always starting over, never really making progress. It's frustrating, right? But when we develop the right habits, everything changes. We start to grow, little by little, day by day. We begin to feel more connected to ourselves, to others, and to something bigger than us. It's like we're finally moving forward on our spiritual journey instead of just spinning our wheels. Now, I know what you're probably wondering. What are these magical habits that can make such a big difference? Well, in this video, we're going to look at 5 powerful habits that can boost your spiritual life. These aren't complicated rituals or hard-to-follow rules. They're simple, everyday practices that anyone can do. And the best part? I'm going to share an easy practice that you can start right after watching this video. So get ready to take your first step towards a more fulfilling spiritual life. But before we dive into these habits, let's talk about why they matter so much. You see, our spiritual life isn't separate from the rest of our life. It's not something we only think about when we're meditating or praying. Our spiritual life is woven into every moment of every day. It's in how we treat ourselves and others. It's in how we react to challenges. It's in how we see the world around us. That's where habits come in. Good habits help us bring our spiritual practice into our everyday life. They help us stay connected to our deeper selves even when life gets busy or stressful. They're like little reminders throughout the day to stay true to our spiritual path. Think of it this way. If you only focused on your physical health once a week, would you expect to be fit and healthy? Probably not, right? The same is true for our spiritual health. We need regular, consistent practice to grow and thrive. That's exactly what these habits provide. Now, I know starting new habits can feel overwhelming. You might be thinking, I don't have time for this, or I'm not sure I can stick to it. But here's the beautiful thing about habits. They start small. You don't have to change your whole life overnight. In fact, trying to do too much at once is often a recipe for giving up. Instead, we're going to focus on small, manageable steps. Remember the saying, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step? That's exactly how we're going to approach these habits. We'll start small, but with consistency, these tiny steps will lead to big changes. And here's another important thing to remember. This is a journey, not a race. There's no finish line to cross, no perfect end goal to reach. The joy is in the journey itself, in the daily practice of showing up for yourself and your spiritual growth. Some days will be easier than others, and that's okay. The key is to keep coming back to your practice, day after day. As we go through these habits, I want you to keep an open mind. Some might resonate with you right away. Others might feel challenging or not quite right for you. That's perfectly normal. Everyone's spiritual path is unique. The goal isn't to follow these habits perfectly, but to find what works for you and make it a regular part of your life. So, are you ready to discover these life-changing habits? Are you ready to take the first step on a journey that could transform your spiritual life? Great. Let's dive in and explore the first of our 5 powerful habits. Our first habit is one you've probably heard of before: daily meditation. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Meditation? Isn't that just for monks or yoga teachers? Not at all. Meditation is for everyone, and it's simpler than you might think. So, what exactly is meditation? At its core, meditation is simply the practice of training your mind to focus and be present. It's like a workout for your brain, helping you become more aware and less caught up in the constant chatter of your thoughts. You might be wondering, how does sitting quietly help my spiritual growth? Well, think about it this way. In our busy lives, we're constantly doing, thinking, and reacting. We rarely take time to just be. Meditation gives us that time. It creates a space where we can connect with our inner selves, away from the noise and distractions of the outside world. When we meditate regularly, we start to see some amazing benefits. We become more aware of our thoughts and feelings. We learn to respond to life's challenges with more calm and clarity. We start to feel more connected to ourselves and the world around us. It's like cleaning a window. The more we practice, the clearer our view becomes. But here's the best part. You don't need any special equipment or skills to start meditating. You don't even need a lot of time. Even 5 minutes a day can make a big difference. Here's a simple way to get started. Find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed. Sit comfortably, either on a chair or on the floor. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Then, simply focus on your breath. Notice how it feels as you breathe in and out. When your mind wanders, and it will, that's normal. Gently bring your attention back to your breath. That's it. It might sound too simple to be effective, but trust me, this small practice can have a big impact. It's like planting a seed of calm and awareness in your mind. As you water it with daily practice, it grows, spreading its roots into every area of your life. Now, I know meditation can feel challenging at first. Your mind might feel extra busy, or you might get frustrated when you can't stop thinking. But here's a secret. The goal of meditation isn't to stop thinking. It's to become aware of your thoughts without getting caught up in them. It's like watching clouds pass in the sky. You see them, but you don't have to chase after them. Remember, there's no such thing as a perfect meditation. Every time you sit down to meditate, even if your mind feels busy the whole time, you're strengthening your ability to be present. You're taking time to connect with yourself. And that in itself is a powerful spiritual practice. As you make meditation a daily habit, you might start to notice some changes. Maybe you feel a little calmer during the day. Maybe you catch yourself before reacting in a way you'd later regret. Or maybe you just feel more in tune with yourself and your surroundings. These small shifts are signs that your meditation practice is working its magic. Now let's move on to our second powerful habit, practicing gratitude. This might sound simple, maybe even a bit cliché, but trust me, the power of gratitude is real, and it can completely transform your spiritual life. So what do we mean by gratitude? Simply put, gratitude is the practice of recognizing and appreciating the good things in our lives. It's about focusing on what we have rather than what we lack. It's like putting on a pair of glasses that helps us see the world in a more positive light. You might be wondering, how does being thankful connect to spiritual growth? Well, gratitude is like a doorway to deeper spiritual awareness. When we practice gratitude, we shift our focus from our problems and worries to the abundance that's already present in our lives. This shift can open our hearts and minds, making us more receptive to spiritual insights and experiences. Think about it this way. Have you ever noticed how different the world looks when you're in a bad mood compared to when you're feeling happy and content? When we're caught up in negative thoughts, it's like we're wearing blinders. We miss out on the beauty and goodness that's all around us. But when we practice gratitude, it's like we're taking those blinders off. Suddenly, we can see all the blessings in our lives, big and small. Gratitude does something else too. It connects us to something bigger than ourselves. When we're truly grateful, we recognize that many of the good things in our lives aren't just because of our own efforts. They're gifts from other people, from nature, from the universe, or from whatever higher power you believe in. This recognition can deepen our sense of connection and purpose. So, how can we make gratitude a daily habit? Here's a simple practice you can start today. Every night before you go to bed, think of 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be big things. Maybe you're grateful for the warm sunshine on your face, or for the kind smile from a stranger, or for the delicious meal you had. Write these things down in a journal or just say them out loud. This might seem too easy to make a difference, but don't underestimate the power of this simple practice. When we actively look for things to be grateful for, we train our minds to notice the positive aspects of our lives. It's like we're creating a habit of happiness and appreciation. At first, you might find it challenging to come up with 3 things every day. That's okay. This is where the real growth happens. When we have to search for things to be grateful for, we start to notice the small joys and blessings we might have overlooked before. Maybe it's the cozy warmth of your bed, or the sound of birds singing in the morning, or the fact that you have clean water to drink. As you practice, you'll likely find that you start noticing more and more things to be grateful for throughout your day. Here's something else to consider. Gratitude isn't just about feeling good. It can actually change how we see and interact with the world. When we're grateful, we tend to be more generous and compassionate towards others. We're more likely to notice opportunities to help or connect with people. In this way, gratitude doesn't just change us, it can change our whole world. But what about when life gets tough? Is it still possible, or even right, to practice gratitude when we're going through hard times? Absolutely. In fact, that's when gratitude can be most powerful. When we're able to find something to be grateful for, even in difficult circumstances, we're building resilience and hope. We're reminding ourselves that even in the darkest times, there's still light to be found. Remember, gratitude is not about ignoring problems or pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing where to focus our attention. It's about recognizing that even when things are hard, there are still good things in our lives. This balance can help us navigate challenges with more grace and strength. As you make gratitude a daily habit, you might start to notice some changes. Maybe you feel a little happier or more content. Maybe you find yourself complaining less and appreciating more. Or maybe you just feel more connected to the world around you. These are all signs that your gratitude practice is taking root and growing. Now, let's explore our third powerful habit, mindful living. This practice has the potential to completely transform how you experience your life and deepen your spiritual connection in remarkable ways. So, what exactly is mindfulness? In simple terms, mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in the moment. It's about paying attention to what's happening right now, both around you and within you, without judgment. It sounds simple, doesn't it? But in our busy, distracted world, it's something many of us struggle with. Think about it. How often do you find yourself going through your day on autopilot? Maybe you're eating lunch while scrolling through your phone, not really tasting your food. Or you're having a conversation with someone, but your mind is busy planning what you need to do later. We spend so much time dwelling on the past or worrying about the future that we miss out on the only moment we ever really have, the present. This is where mindfulness comes in. It's like waking up from a dream and realizing that life is happening right now, in this moment. And here's the exciting part. When we learn to be more mindful, we open ourselves up to a whole new level of spiritual awareness. You might be wondering, how does paying attention to the present moment help my spiritual growth? Well, think about it this way. Many spiritual traditions talk about the importance of being present. They teach that the divine, or the sacred, or whatever you want to call it, isn't something far away or only accessible in special moments. It's right here, in every moment, if we only learn to pay attention. When we practice mindfulness, we're training ourselves to notice the richness and beauty of each moment. We become more aware of the simple miracles that surround us every day, the warmth of sunlight on our skin, the intricate patterns in a leaf, the comforting smell of our morning coffee. We start to appreciate the preciousness of life itself. But mindfulness isn't just about noticing the good stuff. It's also about being present with whatever is happening, even when it's difficult. When we're mindful, we learn to observe our thoughts and feelings without getting caught up in them. This can be incredibly freeing. Instead of being at the mercy of our racing thoughts or intense emotions, we learn to watch them come and go, like clouds passing in the sky. So, how can we make mindfulness a daily habit? Here's a simple practice you can start incorporating into your day. Choose a routine activity, something you do every day, like brushing your teeth, taking a shower, or washing dishes. As you do this activity, try to give it your full attention. Notice the sensations, the temperature of the water, the smell of the soap, the sound of the bristles. When your mind wanders, and it will, gently bring your attention back to what you're doing. This might sound too simple to make a difference, but don't underestimate the power of this practice. By choosing to be fully present in these small, everyday moments, We're training our minds to be more present throughout our day. It's like doing reps at the gym. Each time we bring our attention back to the present moment, we're strengthening our mindfulness muscle. As you practice mindfulness, you might start to notice some changes. Maybe you find yourself enjoying simple pleasures more. Maybe you become more aware of your thoughts and feelings, catching yourself before you react in ways you later regret. Or maybe you just feel more alive and connected to the world around you. But here's something important to remember. Mindfulness isn't about trying to clear your mind or achieve some special state. It's simply about noticing what's already here. And sometimes, what's here isn't pleasant. You might notice physical discomfort or difficult emotions or anxious thoughts. That's okay. The goal isn't to make these things go away, but to learn to be present with them without getting overwhelmed. This is where mindfulness can become a powerful spiritual practice. As we learn to be present with all of our experiences, the good, the bad, and everything in between, we develop a kind of inner strength and peace. We learn that we can handle whatever life throws at us, not by fighting against it, but by being fully present with it. Mindfulness can also help us develop more compassion, both for ourselves and for others. When we're more aware of our own inner experiences, we become more understanding of what others might be going through. We start to see the shared humanity in all of us, which can lead to a deeper sense of connection and empathy. As you make mindfulness a daily habit, you might find that it starts to spread into other areas of your life. Maybe you catch yourself taking a deep breath and becoming present when you're stuck in traffic instead of getting frustrated. Or maybe you find yourself really listening to a friend, giving them your full attention instead of half listening while your mind wanders. Remember, like any habit, mindfulness takes practice. There will be days when it feels easy and days when it feels impossible. That's okay. The key is to keep coming back to the practice day after day. Each time you choose to be present, even for a moment, you're nurturing your spiritual growth and deepening your connection to life itself. Let's move on to our fourth powerful habit, regular self-reflection. This practice might not be as well known as meditation or mindfulness, but it's just as important for our spiritual growth. In fact, it's like holding up a mirror to our soul, allowing us to see ourselves more clearly and grow in profound ways. So, what exactly is self-reflection? Simply put, it's the practice of looking inward, examining our thoughts, feelings, and actions. It's about taking time to check in with ourselves, to understand why we do what we do, and to consider how we might grow and improve. Now you might be wondering, how does thinking about myself help my spiritual life? Well, think about it this way. Many spiritual traditions emphasize the importance of self-knowledge. They teach that, to connect with something greater than ourselves, we first need to understand who we are. Self-reflection is the tool that helps us do this. When we reflect on ourselves regularly, we start to notice patterns in our behavior. We become more aware of our strengths and weaknesses, our fears and desires. We might realize that we often react to stress in unhelpful ways, or that we have a tendency to judge others harshly. This awareness is the first step towards positive change. But self-reflection isn't just about identifying what we need to improve. It's also about recognizing our growth and celebrating our progress. Maybe you notice that you're becoming more patient with your family, or that you're getting better at standing up for yourself at work. Acknowledging these positive changes can boost our confidence and motivate us to keep growing. So how can we make self-reflection a regular habit? Here's a simple practice you can try. Set aside some time each week, maybe Sunday evening or Monday morning, to reflect on the past week. Find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed. Take a few deep breaths to center yourself. Then, ask yourself some questions. What went well this week? What challenges did I face? How did I handle them? What did I learn about myself? You can write your answers in a journal or just think about them. This might seem like a lot at first, but don't worry. You don't need to spend hours on this. Even 15 minutes of thoughtful reflection can make a big difference. The key is to be honest with yourself, but also kind. Remember, the goal isn't to beat yourself up over mistakes, but to learn and grow. As you make self-reflection a regular habit, you might start to notice some changes. Maybe you become more self-aware, catching yourself in unhelpful patterns before they cause problems. Maybe you find it easier to make decisions that align with your values. Or maybe you just feel more in tune with yourself and your spiritual path. But here's something important to remember. Self-reflection isn't always easy. Sometimes we might uncover things about ourselves that we don't like. We might realize we've hurt someone, or that we're holding on to anger or resentment. This can be uncomfortable, even painful. But it's also an opportunity for growth and healing. When we face these difficult truths about ourselves, we have a choice. We can ignore them and keep going as we have been, or we can acknowledge them, learn from them, and choose to do better. This is where self-reflection becomes a powerful spiritual practice. It's not just about becoming a better person. It's about aligning ourselves more closely with our highest values and deepest truths. Self-reflection can also help us develop more compassion, both for ourselves and for others. As we become more aware of our own struggles and imperfections, we often become more understanding of others. We realize that everyone is on their own journey, facing their own challenges and doing their best to grow. As you make self-reflection a regular part of your life, you might find that it starts to influence how you move through your days. Maybe you catch yourself pausing before reacting to a difficult situation, taking a moment to consider your motivations and choices. Or maybe you find yourself setting more intentional goals, ones that align with your deepest values and aspirations. Remember, like any habit, self-reflection gets easier with practice. There might be times when it feels challenging or uncomfortable. That's okay. The key is to approach it with curiosity and kindness, always remembering that the goal is growth, not perfection. Now let's explore our fifth and final habit, performing daily acts of kindness. This practice might seem simple, even ordinary, but don't be fooled. It has the power to transform not just your own life, but the lives of those around you, creating a ripple effect of positivity and connection. So, what do we mean by acts of kindness? These are simply actions, big or small, that we do to help or uplift others without expecting anything in return. It could be as simple as holding the door for someone, offering a sincere compliment, or helping a neighbor carry their groceries. Or it could be larger gestures, like volunteering at a local charity or supporting a friend through a tough time. You might be wondering, how does being kind to others relate to my spiritual growth? Well, many spiritual traditions emphasize the importance of compassion and service. They teach that true spiritual growth isn't just about our own inner development, but about how we treat others and contribute to the world around us. When we perform acts of kindness, we're putting our spiritual beliefs into action. We're recognizing the inherent worth and dignity of every person. We're acknowledging our interconnectedness, the fact that our actions, even small ones, can have a real impact on others. This awareness can deepen our sense of purpose and connection to something larger than ourselves. But here's the amazing thing about kindness. It doesn't just benefit the receiver. It also has profound effects on the giver. Research has shown that performing acts of kindness can boost our mood, reduce stress, and even improve our physical health. It's like we're hardwired to feel good when we do good for others. So, how can we make acts of kindness a daily habit? Here's a simple practice to get you started. Each day, try to perform at least one intentional act of kindness. It doesn't have to be big or grand. Maybe it's sending a supportive text to a friend, picking up litter in your neighborhood, or simply smiling and saying hello to people you pass on the street. The key is to do it consciously, with the intention of brightening someone's day. This might sound easy, and in many ways it is, but making it a consistent daily practice can be transformative. It's like training our kindness muscle. The more we flex it, the stronger it becomes, and the more natural acts of kindness become in our daily lives. As you make kindness a daily habit, you might start to notice some changes. Maybe you feel more connected to the people around you. Maybe you find more joy and meaning in your day-to-day interactions. Or maybe you just feel a greater sense of purpose, knowing that your actions are making a positive difference in the world. But here's something important to remember. Kindness isn't always about grand gestures or heroic acts. Often it's the small, everyday kindnesses that have the biggest impact. A genuine smile, a word of encouragement, or simply giving someone your full attention can mean more than you might realize. Practicing kindness can also help us develop more empathy and compassion. As we make an effort to help and uplift others, we become more attuned to their needs and experiences. We start to see the world through their eyes, which can broaden our perspective and deepen our understanding of the human experience. But what about when kindness feels challenging? Maybe we're dealing with someone who's difficult, or we're going through a tough time ourselves. This is where kindness becomes a true spiritual practice. Choosing to be kind, even when it's hard, can be a powerful act of growth and self-transcendence. Remember, though, that kindness should include kindness to yourself. Sometimes the kindest thing we can do is to set healthy boundaries or take care of our own needs. True kindness comes from a place of fullness, not depletion. As you make acts of kindness a regular part of your life, you might find that it starts to influence how you see the world. Maybe you start noticing more opportunities to help or uplift others. Maybe you become more aware of the kindness that others show to you. Or maybe you just feel more connected to the web of humanity around you, recognizing that we're all in this together. Remember, like any habit, practicing kindness gets easier with time. There might be days when it feels effortless, and days when it feels like a challenge. That's okay. The key is to keep coming back to the intention of kindness day after day, knowing that each small act has the power to make a real difference. Now that we've explored these 5 powerful habits, daily meditation, gratitude practice, mindful living, regular self-reflection, and acts of kindness, you might be feeling excited to get started. But you might also be feeling a bit overwhelmed. After all, that's a lot of new habits to take on at once. Here's the good news. You don't have to do it all at once. In fact, trying to make too many changes at the same time often leads to frustration and giving up. Instead, the key is to start small and build gradually. Think of it like planting a garden. You wouldn't expect to plant seeds one day and have a lush, thriving garden the next, would you? Growth takes time, patience, and consistent care. The same is true for our spiritual habits. So, how can we put these habits into practice in a way that's sustainable and effective? Here are some tips to help you get started. First, choose one habit to focus on. Which one resonates with you the most? Which one do you feel would make the biggest difference in your life right now? Start there. Maybe you decide to begin with a daily gratitude practice, or perhaps you want to focus on mindful living. Once you've chosen your habit, start small, really small. If you're starting a meditation practice, begin with just 5 minutes a day. If you're focusing on acts of kindness, aim for one intentional kind act each day. The goal is to make it so easy that you can't talk yourself out of it. Next, link your new habit to an existing part of your routine. This is called habit stacking, and it's a powerful way to make new habits stick. For example, you might decide to do your gratitude practice right after you brush your teeth in the morning, or to practice mindfulness while you're waiting for your coffee to brew. Remember, consistency is more important than perfection. It's better to meditate for 5 minutes every day than to do an hour-long session once a week. Small, consistent steps add up to big changes over time. As your first habit starts to feel more natural, you can gradually increase the time or intensity. Maybe your 5-minute meditation becomes 10 minutes, or your one act of kindness becomes 2 or 3. But again, there's no rush. The goal is steady, sustainable growth. Once your first habit feels solid, which might take a few weeks or even a couple of months, you can start to introduce a second habit. Follow the same process. Start small, link it to your routine, and focus on consistency. Here's something else to keep in mind. These habits aren't separate from your life. They're meant to enhance your life. Look for ways to integrate them into your daily activities. Practice mindfulness while you're doing the dishes. Reflect on your day during your evening commute. Find moments of gratitude while you're waiting in line at the store. It's also important to be kind to yourself as you're building these habits. There will be days when you forget or when life gets in the way. That's okay. The key is not to let a missed day turn into a missed week. If you slip up, simply start again the next day. Remember, this is a journey, not a race. As you practice these habits, pay attention to how they're affecting your life. You might want to keep a journal to track your experiences and insights. Are you feeling more calm and centered? More connected to yourself and others? More aware of the beauty and meaning in your daily life? Noticing these positive changes can motivate you to keep going. Also, don't be afraid to adapt these habits to fit your life and personality. Maybe you prefer to do your self-reflection through art or music rather than writing. Or perhaps you find that walking meditation works better for you than sitting still. The goal is to find what resonates with you and helps you grow. Remember, the power of these habits lies in their cumulative effect over time. It's like compound interest for your spiritual life. Each small act of meditation, gratitude, mindfulness, self-reflection, or kindness builds on the others, creating a powerful momentum of growth and transformation. As you continue to practice these habits, you might find that they start to blur together. Your gratitude practice might become more mindful. Your self-reflection might lead to acts of kindness. Your meditation might deepen your ability to be present in daily life. This integration is a beautiful sign of spiritual growth. Finally, remember that these habits are tools, not rules. They're meant to support your spiritual growth, not to become another source of stress or obligation. If at any point they start to feel that way, it might be time to step back and reassess. Maybe you need to adjust your approach, or maybe you need to remind yourself of why you started this journey in the first place. The journey of spiritual growth is deeply personal and unique to each individual. These habits are like signposts on the path, guiding you towards greater awareness, connection, and fulfillment. But the path itself is yours to walk at your own pace and in your own way. So, as you go forward from here, carry these habits with you as tools for growth and transformation. Use them to cultivate a deeper connection with yourself, with others, and with the world around you. Remember that each small step, each moment of practice is significant. You're not just changing habits, you're shaping your life one moment at a time. Practical tips: building your spiritual habits. Now that we've explored these powerful habits and talked about how to start incorporating them into your life, let's dive into some practical tips to help you build and maintain these spiritual practices. Remember, the goal isn't perfection, it's progress and consistency. First, let's talk about creating a supportive environment. Your surroundings can have a big impact on your habits. If you're trying to establish a daily meditation practice, for example, it can be helpful to create a dedicated space for it. This doesn't have to be elaborate. Even a corner of your room with a comfortable cushion and maybe a candle or a meaningful object can work. The key is to have a space that signals to your mind it's time to meditate. Similarly, for your gratitude practice, you might want to keep a special notebook by your bed. For mindfulness, you could set reminders on your phone to pause and be present throughout the day. The idea is to make it as easy as possible for yourself to practice these habits. Next, consider the power of accountability. Sharing your intentions with a friend or family member can help keep you motivated. Maybe you could find a gratitude buddy to share your daily gratitudes with, or join a local meditation group. When we know someone else is expecting us to show up, we're more likely to follow through. Another helpful tip is to track your progress. This doesn't have to be complicated. A simple check mark on a calendar for each day you practice can be surprisingly motivating. Seeing a chain of check marks can encourage you to keep the streak going. Plus, looking back at your progress can be really encouraging on days when you're feeling unmotivated. Speaking of motivation, it's important to remind yourself regularly why you're doing this. What drew you to these practices in the first place? What changes are you hoping to see in your life? Maybe write down your reasons and put them somewhere you'll see them often. On days when practicing feels challenging, this can help reignite your motivation. Now, let's talk about obstacles. It's normal to face challenges when building new habits. One common obstacle is time. Many people feel they're too busy to add new practices to their day. If this resonates with you, try looking for small pockets of time in your day. Could you practice mindfulness during your morning commute? Could you do a quick gratitude practice while waiting in line at the store? Another common challenge is forgetting. We start out with good intentions, but life gets busy and we simply forget to practice. This is where reminders can be really helpful. You could set alarms on your phone, leave sticky notes in strategic places, or link your new habits to existing routines, like we talked about earlier with habit stacking. Sometimes we might face internal resistance. Maybe we feel silly practicing gratitude, or we think we're not good at meditation. Remember, these are skills that develop over time. It's okay to feel awkward or uncertain at first. Be patient with yourself and keep showing up. It's also important to be flexible. Life doesn't always go according to plan. There will be days when your usual routine gets disrupted. Instead of seeing this as a failure, look for ways to adapt. Maybe you can't do your usual 20-minute meditation, but you can take 3 deep, mindful breaths. Maybe you can't write in your gratitude journal, but you can think of 3 things you're grateful for while you're in the shower. The key is to keep the intention, even if the form changes. Remember, building new habits takes time. Research suggests it can take anywhere from 18 to 254 days for a new habit to become automatic, with an average of 66 days. So don't get discouraged if it doesn't feel natural right away. Keep practicing and it will get easier. Lastly, celebrate your progress. Notice the small wins along the way. Did you remember to practice gratitude 3 days in a row? That's worth celebrating. Did you catch yourself being more mindful during a stressful situation? That's a win. Acknowledging these small successes can help keep you motivated and reinforce the positive changes you're making. Building these spiritual habits is a journey, and like any journey, it has its ups and downs. There will be days when it feels easy and natural, and days when it feels like a struggle. Both are normal and part of the process. The key is to keep coming back to your practice day after day with patience and kindness towards yourself. As we come to the end of our exploration of these 5 powerful habits, let's take a moment to reflect on the journey ahead. Remember, what we've discussed here isn't just about adding a few new activities to your day. It's about embarking on a profound journey of spiritual growth and self-discovery. Through daily meditation, you're creating space for stillness and self-awareness in your life. With your gratitude practice, you're training your mind to notice and appreciate the abundance that surrounds you. Mindful living helps you fully engage with each moment, finding depth and richness in your everyday experiences. Regular self-reflection allows you to understand yourself more deeply and align your actions with your values. And through daily acts of kindness, you're not only making the world a little better, but you're also nurturing your own spiritual growth. These habits, when practiced consistently, have the power to transform your life from the inside out. They can help you navigate life's challenges with more grace and resilience. They can deepen your sense of connection to yourself, to others, and to something greater than yourself. They can bring more peace, joy, and meaning into your daily life. But remember, this transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process, unfolding day by day, moment by moment. There will be times when you can clearly see your progress, and times when it feels like nothing is changing. Both are part of the journey. The key is to approach this journey with patience and self-compassion. Don't judge yourself harshly if you miss a day of practice or if your mind wanders during meditation. Instead, gently guide yourself back to your intentions and your practice. Each moment is a new opportunity to begin again. As you move forward, stay curious about your experiences. Notice how these practices affect your mood, your relationships, your work, and your overall sense of well-being. Be open to insights and realizations that may arise. This journey of spiritual growth is deeply personal, and your experiences will be unique to you. Remember, too, that these habits are tools, not rules. Feel free to adapt them to fit your life and your needs. The goal isn't to follow a rigid set of practices, but to cultivate a way of living that supports your spiritual growth and enhances your life. Finally, know that by embarking on this journey, you're not just changing your own life, you're contributing to positive change in the world. As you become more mindful, more grateful, more reflective, and more kind, you'll naturally have a positive impact on those around you. Your growth ripples out, touching the lives of others in ways you may never fully know. So, as you go forward from here, carry these habits with you as companions on your journey. Let them guide you towards greater awareness, deeper connection, and a more fulfilling life. Remember that each small act of practice is significant. You're not just changing habits, you're shaping your life and your world, one moment at a time. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of these powerful spiritual habits. May your journey be filled with growth, discovery, and joy. Remember, the path of spiritual growth is always unfolding before you. Each day is a new opportunity to take a step forward. Trust the journey, embrace the process, and keep moving forward. Your future self will thank you for the seeds you're planting today.